Calm yourself, Iago. Soon I will be Sultan. It's time to say goodbye, Prince Abubu. Trust me, my pungent friend. You'll get what's coming to you.
Ah, Jafar, my most trusted advisor. I am in desperate need of your wisdom.
My life is but to serve you, my lord.
I think the thing I like most about Jafar is that he is a maniac, but he's an elegant maniac. And the only reason he's able to be an elegant maniac is because he has a bird who's a complete psychotic. So that's a nice thing. It helped smooth Jafar out having that on my shoulder. He's a high-level villain. He's intelligent, crafty. He's not like one of those stupid villains that, like, you know, they're villains just because they make mistakes. He doesn't make many mistakes until the very end. It really should be called, frankly, you know, Jafar. Really about a wizard who is a megalomaniac and wants to take over the world. And he almost wins. Truthfully, the secret to Jafar's voice has to do with the fact that they cast Gilbert Gottfried as the parrot.
Have a cracker, pretty Polly. Pretty Polly.
Your Majesty certainly has a way with dumb animals.
Because it meant that Jafar could smooth all of his dialogue out. He could become very smooth and very mercurial, and he doesn't go too crazy until the end when he really loses it. And so I have Gilbert to thank for my performance, I guess. You're welcome, Gilbert. Favorite scenes from the movie? Well, you know, most of the throne room scenes are scenes that I'm very attracted to, not just because Jafar's in them, but because the scale of the room, you know, creates something that is not in the rest of the film. The rest of the film is either the desert or these small, you know, intimate quarters. But everything that has to do with the palace, the throne room, even the courtyard and the balcony, Jasmine's balcony, all of that is just huge, such huge scale. I think that appeals to me. And the colors, too.
Heard your princess was a sight lovely to see.
There are a few lines that I remember. My most abject and humble apologies, Your Majesty. I don't know why that line appeals to me. I think that sort of is like that's sort of the center of Jafar's language, I think. The characters are great. They're all wonderful characters, and who doesn't like a genie?
Why? 10,000 years will give you such a crick in the neck.
How often is Aladdin brought up to me? Since I'm doing the show on Broadway right now, obviously I think about it almost every day. Almost everybody that I know wants to know something about it most of the time. You know, it's been a real privilege because once you get to play one of these characters, it's with you for the rest of your life. Bringing Jafar to life in other forms has been interesting, and it's, you know, it's not like I ever stopped, or any of us ever stopped. Like, I guess as long as I still sound like Jafar, I'll continue to do things. I was just in the studio last week, and occasionally people will say to me, you know, you sounded just like the man in the movie. A woman chased me down the alley in Toronto, saying, excuse me, I just had to tell you, you sound just like the guy in the movie. Thank you.
Now then, perhaps I can divine a solution to this thorny problem.
Have there been any fan stories? You know, this is interesting because not every kid wants to be a prince or a princess. There actually are a collection of kids, a rather substantial percentage too, who really do like the villains best. And it's not because they're like myself growing up. It's not because they're bad kids or they're instinctively mean or they want to hurt people or take over the world. It's because I think when kids, especially kids who are feeling marginalized or don't relate to a pretty princess or a handsome prince, the scale of the character, the enormity of their beings, of the villains, appeals to a lot of kids.
Don't worry. Everything will be fine.
Everything will be fine.
I think that kind of power, if they imagine, like I used to do, that you're one of the Disney villains, you have a certain kind of strength that gives you, I don't know, it gives you something inside, I guess, when you're a kid, if you do relate to the villains and the villainesses, and I think a lot of kids do. Did I ever think we'd still be talking about Jafar and Aladdin? No, I mean, I guess maybe if I really could remember, and I guess I can't, I probably hoped that it would be a big, successful, fancy Disney hit, that it would join, the ranks of some of the better animated films. That's number one. So I guess I probably did, on some level, hope for that. But you never know. Why has Aladdin been so beloved? I think Aladdin has been so beloved because the story is, first of all, it's a great story. It's about telling the truth, being true to yourself. It's about freedom. The very center of the story is that Aladdin, once he becomes who he really is, he sets somebody free from slavery. He emancipates the genie. That's pretty powerful, I think. And that story has been around for a very long time. And it's been done in so many different ways. And if you Google Aladdin, you'll see probably easily 10 other versions of Aladdin. And I'm sure that there are probably hundreds of them, it's been told and retold many times over. I think that's why it's hung around so long. I think it really is at the center of one of the best stories.